Welcome to Evermore Love, a journey of hearts. Hey there, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Evermore Love, your cozy corner for timeless tales that whisper straight to the heart. If you're new here, oh, what a treat you're in for. We're all about those stories that make you sigh, smile, and maybe even shed a happy tear. Today, we're diving into something truly special. Married at 18, love at 25. Imagine tying the knot as wide-eyed kids, only to discover the deepest kind of love years later. It's raw, it's real, and it's going to pull at your heartstrings from the very first word. Before we begin, I have a little dream I'm chasing with you all. We're so close to hitting that magical 1K subscriber milestone. Your love and support mean the world, and together we can make it happen. If this story touches you, hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on notifications so you never miss a whisper of romance, and share it with someone who needs a dose of feels today. And hey, stick around till the end. Promise me you'll watch every second. These stories are crafted just for you, and your full watch helps spread the magic even further. Alright, hearts ready. Let's fall into the story. In the golden haze of a late summer afternoon in 2010, under the sprawling banyan tree in her family's courtyard in rural Kerala, India, Aisha stood trembling in a crimson silk sari that felt more like chains than celebration. She was 18, her dark eyes wide with the terror of the unknown. Her long black hair braided with jasmine that wilted under the weight of her fear. The priest's chants droned on like a distant storm, and across from her Rajiv, also 18, lanky and awkward in his embroidered sherwani, stared at the ground, his calloused hands fidgeting with the edge of his sleeve. They had met only twice before. Once at a family gathering where their mothers had whispered about horoscopes aligning like perfect stars, and again the week prior, when he'd mumbled a hello that barely bridged the chasm of their silence. It was an arranged marriage, the kind woven from threads of tradition and expectation. Aisha's father, a schoolteacher with dreams too big for their modest home, saw Rajiv's family, wealthy landowners from the neighboring village, as a ladder to stability. Rajiv's parents, in turn, prized Aisha's quiet grace, her quick wit hidden behind shy smiles. "It's for the best," her mother had said that morning, dabbing coal under Aisha's eyes to hide the puffiness from a night of silent tears. Love comes later, beta. Like the monsoon after a dry spell. But as the garlands were exchanged and the sacred fire crackled between them, Aisha wondered if any rain would ever touch her parched heart. Their wedding night was a fumbling disaster. The room in Rajiv's family home smelled of incense and fresh paint, the bed draped in marigold petals that crunched underfoot like brittle promises. Rajiv sat on the edge, his back to her, whispering apologies into the shadows. "I didn't want this either," he admitted, his voice cracking like a boy's. Aisha, curled in the corner, hugged her knees and nodded, though he couldn't see. They didn't touch. They barely spoke. For the first 7 years, their marriage was a quiet coexistence, two strangers orbiting in the same small world. They moved to the city soon after, Rajiv pursuing engineering at a polytechnic, Aisha enrolling in a local college for literature, her secret passion. Their one-room apartment in Kochi was a concrete box with peeling blue walls and a single window overlooking a bustling fish market. Mornings began with the shrill whistle of the kettle and the sizzle of dosa batter on a battered tawa. Rajiv would leave notes on the fridge. "Rice in the cooker. Be safe." Aisha would reply with a checkmark in chalk on the blackboard they'd hung as a joke. Laughter was rare, intimacy a ghost. She buried herself in books. Tagore's verses about longing, Jane Austen's dances of misunderstanding, while he tinkered with circuit boards late into the night, chasing a degree that felt like his only escape. Challenges piled up like monsoon floods. Rajiv's father fell ill, draining their savings and forcing him to take odd jobs, tutoring spoiled rich kids who mocked his village accent. Aisha miscarried their first child at 20, the loss a silent scream that echoed between them. She wept alone in the bathroom, the tiles cold against her cheek, while Rajiv paced the balcony, fists clenched against the railing. "Why us?" she'd whisper to the empty air and he'd mutter, "Fate's cruel joke." Resentment simmered. She blamed him for the marriage that trapped her dreams. He blamed himself for not being the provider she deserved. Words unspoken became walls, thicker than the humid air. By 22, Aisha had a job at a small publishing house, proofreading romances that mocked her own barren life. Rajiv graduated and landed a steady gig at a telecom firm, but promotions eluded him, his confidence fraying like old rope. They argued over small things, the unwashed dishes, the forgotten anniversary of their wedding day. One night, after a particularly sharp exchange about money, Aisha packed a bag and fled to her parents' home. "I can't breathe here," she sobbed to her mother over the phone. Rajiv didn't chase her. He sat on the empty bed, the marigold petals long gone, and for the first time, felt the ache of her absence like a hollow in his chest. 3 months later she returned, not out of duty, but because the silence without him was louder than their fights. They tried counseling, awkward sessions in a dimly lit office where a kindly auntie urged them to share your souls. It was there, in the third meeting, that Rajiv finally looked at her, not as the girl he'd been handed, but as the woman who'd weathered storms beside him. "I see you now," he said, his voice thick. "The way you light up over a good book, how you hum old Malayalam songs when you think no one's listening. I'm sorry it took me so long." Aisha's throat tightened, tears blurring his earnest face. "And you build things that connect people. Like you tried to connect with me." That night they held hands on the bus ride home, the city lights streaking like shooting stars. Love didn't crash in like a wave. It bloomed slow like the lotus in their courtyard pond back home. At 23, they took their first real trip, a rickety train to the backwaters of Aleppi. The canoe glided through emerald canals fringed with palm trees, the air thick with the scent of wet earth and blooming water lilies. Rajiv pointed out a kingfisher, its iridescent blue a flash of joy, and Aisha laughed, truly freely, for the first time in years. That evening, as the sun dipped into the horizon like molten gold, he traced the lines of her palm with his fingertip. "Remember our wedding? I was so scared I'd ruin you." She leaned her head on his shoulder, the warmth of him seeping into her bones. "You didn't. You saved me, Rajiv. In ways I never saw coming." But life, that relentless storyteller, threw more curves. At 24, Aisha discovered she was pregnant again, the news a fragile butterfly in her hands. Fear gripped them, memories of loss sharp as thorns. Rajiv became her shadow, brewing ginger tea for her nausea, reading baby name books aloud in the evenings with a voice soft as rain. When complications arose in the 7th month, he sat by her hospital bed for 48 hours straight, his hand never leaving hers, whispering stories of their future. A house with a garden, lazy Sundays with doses and dreams. "Our little one will know only love," he vowed, his eyes red-rimmed but fierce. Aisha survived the scare, and their daughter Mira arrived on a stormy dawn, her cry piercing the thunder like a promise kept. By 25, love had transformed them. It wasn't the fairy tale spark of youth but a steady flame, forged in fire and tempered by time. On their 7th anniversary, wait, no, 8th now, Aisha surprised Rajiv with a picnic under that same banyan tree where it all began. The air hummed with cicadas, the ground carpeted in fallen petals. She unpacked idlis wrapped in banana leaves, mango pickle sharp on the tongue, and a handwritten letter. "To the boy who became my home. I married a stranger at 18, but at 25, I love my soulmate with every beat." Rajiv read it twice, tears carving paths down his cheeks, then pulled her close. Their kiss was unhurried, tasting of salt and sweetness, the world fading to just the two of them. "Aisha," he murmured against her lips, "you're my monsoon, my lotus, my everything." They danced then, barefoot in the grass, to no music but the rustle of leaves and the rhythm of their hearts sinking at last. Mira, toddling nearby with a flower crown askew, clapped her chubby hands, as if applauding the miracle of it all. And so, in the quiet alchemy of time, what started as duty dissolved into devotion. They weren't perfect. Bills still argued themselves into existence, and sleepy mornings brought grumpy silences. But their love? It was alive, breathing, a tapestry woven from threads of forgiveness, discovery, and unbreakable tenderness. Aisha often thought as she watched Rajiv chase Meera through the park. His laughter booming like thunder after rain. Sometimes the heart knows its way home, even when the feet falter. Phew, what a ride, right? If Married at 18, Love at 25 stirred something deep in your soul, maybe a memory, a hope, or just that warm glow of possibility, thank you for letting it in. Stories like this remind us that love isn't always instant. It's a garden we tend, petal by petal. If you felt the magic, hit that subscribe button for Evermore Love. We're building a community of dreamers just like you, and your support helps us share more heartfelt journeys every week. Drop a comment below. When did your love truly begin? Like, share, and turn on those bells so we can keep the romance flowing. Until next time, keep loving fiercely, friends. See you soon.